LBs are places to bring in two sticks of conduit together and make a turn. LBs are a blessing and a curse. On the one hand, they allow you access to assist with cable pulling. On the other hand, this window opens up and the cables are pulled in and through. You still have to manage that last bit of slack, pulling it out so that it lines nicely into the LB. It's not as a serviceable point after the install as someone might think. It provides a little bit of access, but it's still a thing that should be carefully selected for ease of installation for the cable pull. For that matter, there's different kinds of these LB fittings. There's a T fitting, that is appropriately named. There's the standard LB. And what the standard LB is useful for is, let's say you have a building with a flat roof and your solar array is up on top of the building and you need to run your conduit over the side and then hug the wall. A purist might say, well, I'm going to build a nice smooth conduit bend, that gets 3 turns into it, and I'm going to go land on my box. I'm going to do that conduit bend instead of the LBs so that it's really waterproof with no sharp edges of turns, and so that wire is just nice and smooth and still part of the system. Well, if you're doing multiple of these hooks, let's say you have 5 or 6 or 7 circuits coming out of the array, every single one of these conduit bends has to be perfect, or else it's going to look really ugly. And furthermore, even if it looks perfect, it's still probably going to look ugly because you got this conduit coming off, and then to make the curve, it's going to have to stick out from the roof a fair amount, and then land on where it can be positively attached and supported, and that additional space is going to look weird and funky. Whereas if you use an LB, you're going to have a straight piece of conduit here, put in your LB, another straight piece, put in another LB, another straight piece, and maybe have that be your 90-degree bend, and it's a much more quick and easy conduit pathway that hugs the profile of the building in a much more tight manner. My experience has been talking with clients about conduit runs. They'll say, they want the most continuous and custom built, form-fitting conduit runs on site. But if you're hugging a wall with a sharp edge and a sharp turn, the client may prefer, something that's a little bit more shape-fitting. And then when it comes time to counting these LBs, this is the standard LB, which is for, coming out and then doing a 90-degree bend off a surface. But then there are LLs and LRs that instead of doing kind of a backwards bend, it does a 90-degree sideways bend. And so where this faceplate cover is located for accessibility, all of that is kind of nuanced in this balanced system material selection. However, all of this stuff can be pre-planned on your bill of material and not something that you just leave the installer to get once they get out in the field.